Last year is a new time for us to organize this kind of entrepreneurship center and innovation center. Entrepreneurship in China in the recent years is very amazing. It's amazing.
This is really exciting for me to be able to spend time to talk about my experiences in entrepreneurship. Premier Li Chung talked about mass entrepreneurship and how it's going to be, he's trying to foster more entrepreneurship within the country, and that seemed very positive.
Yes, it's a very colorful time. Yeah.
If you buy a franchise, you buy a Starbucks and you're located, that's great, that's entrepreneurial, that's the first stepping stone. I think that is entrepreneurial. If you decide to build a similar concept and you franchise that, that's a whole other discussion. And that's a very, I think that's very entrepreneurial to do that. I think the ones that make the most money are the ones that are able to take an idea, a concept, build something, and then, take that to 100 stores. The reality is there's a whole process and definition around that, and you should be well trained to do that. And I'd recommend become a franchisee first. Learn it, become part of it, and then maybe your next company you start separately, and then you can scale that up. I look at two things. How defensible is the idea, and how scalable is the idea? Don't be afraid to share them with people who you trust, right? Because they can help sharpen your idea, make it better and better and better. With respect to early financing, I really recommend friends, family, people you trust. If you try to raise financing from people you don't know at an early stage, then you're going to lose too much of your equity. Early on in the startup phase, I don't recommend bringing in angel investors. It's easier to sell investors once you've proven the concept at a much higher valuation than it is before you've proven the concept. If you know in your mind this concept's going to work, you got to be able to get it to market. You got to be able to prove it. Once you've proven that it can work, then you can go to market and you'll have people lining up to pay you much higher valuations. I was in my 4th year of university and I decided to go for a 3-year degree instead of a 4-year degree, so I withdrew from university. And I took the money back, which was funded by the government, as a loan. And I used that money to start my business. So it was innovative. It was pulling from here, pulling from there, that's where it was. It was all my own. Wherever I could find it, every rock I could turn over. I went to my mom, I got a loan from my mom. Again, with interest, and everyone got paid off. There are 115 million .coms. There are 200,000 .clubs, 230,000, 240,000 .clubs. And we launched just over a year ago. It's very hard for today to get a good .com unless you pay for it. 360.com just sold for $17 million to a Chinese company. 360.club, I don't know, it's $50, I don't know what it is. You see, the reality is you can get great brandable names. Now what really matters for a domain name is SEO. The individual was able to get credit.club for $10. Somehow we missed it, right? But they got credit.club for $10 and they're #1 spot on the search engine for SEO for credit club. Another individual launched coffee.club. He's #1 on Google for coffee club. Brandable names can give you high SEO. With high SEO, you get traffic. One of the most desirable things for every internet company is to have traffic. With a good domain name, you can get that. Now, if you're considering a domain name, one thing to consider is to make certain that it's semantically correct. So for instance, wine.club is very different than club.wine. And a search engine will look at that very differently as well. Because if you want to scale your company, the key is to scale your company. So think you're a $10 million company when you're a $1 million company. Not from expense-wise, but just mentally. And start to begin to say, okay, if I'm going to be a $10 million company, I have to hire somebody who ran a $10 million company to help me get there, or I have to hire people around that. We have to begin to mentally think of scaling your company in zeros or scaling your company in tens. It really is a difference of not Canada versus US, but where you're locating the company. So for instance, in Toronto, it's a great tech environment. Vancouver's a great tech environment. San Francisco's a great tech environment. So I think it's pretty based on city more than country. I think Canada has some advantages though because it is small. When you start a big playground, it's hard to be the leader. When you start a small one, you can be the leader, perfect the concept, and then bring that into the other playgrounds. The costs of internet have come down, shared office space, government support. You know, it's interesting, Premier Li Keqiang, hope I pronounced his name correctly, you know, talked about this idea of mass entrepreneurship. You know, I think it's fascinating coming here. This is my 6th time in China, and to see the entrepreneurial culture and how it's fostering and things are just coming together in such a great way with a lot of support from the government. And in contrast in America, and I don't want to get into politics here, but you do see in America how there's entrepreneurs, and sometimes those entrepreneurs can be vilified, and the governments don't necessarily support the policies of entrepreneurs. The expertise now has moved more to China than it has in the United States. So it's a lot easier, I think, for entrepreneurs here to look for outsourcing partners than it is for somebody across the globe to try to find those outsourcing partners. I hired a coach where every quarter my team, myself, met with that coach, and we did strategic planning. We set up quarterly goals, and weekly target, weekly red, yellow, greens. And today, 12 years later, 10, 11 years later, I still have the same coach, and we still do the same process as well. So that's the CEO coach, because I'm an entrepreneur, I'm smart. I built this little tiny startup. I'm not smart, I'm not taking it out there, but this coach has. And I have to adapt. Remember I said not all people are gonna do, those who succeed in a startup don't necessarily succeed when they scale a company. In fact, most entrepreneurs don't go beyond startup because they can't, because they're limited by themselves. The smartest entrepreneurs recognize that, and what they do is they find others to help them get to that next level. The second one was systems over people. That's Michael Gerber's line, the E-Myth, which is all about build systems with your company so you don't have to rely on people. If your company relies 100% on people, then it can falter. So if you build systems and somebody leaves your company, then that system comes into play and can help manage the process of people going in and out. The most important thing is people. You need people. You do need smart people in the right place at the right time, running that company, and they need to put in systems. And the systems need to hire good people. All right, so if you have good systems, good people will come. Only hire people with runway. All right, so if you're a $1 million company and you want to be a $10 million company, hire the person who's already had $10 million experience. He's working in a $10 million company. The philosophies that exist in here, starting a company, you're scaling a company, you're exiting a company, or you're repeating that process, they're all pretty much the same. It doesn't matter what country. Again, there's different levels. Like in Ukraine, for instance, we have a large operation in Ukraine. Obviously, working very closely with the government there is very important as well. Some environments are like the United States, you don't work, you never see a government official, right? Some environments like Ukraine, you do. So there are aspects to it that are different, but ultimately these concepts, I've applied them over and over and over again, and with almost certain success, when I apply all of these concepts, the company succeeds. Sure.